High above the glittering lights of Las Vegas, a phantom lived in a locked penthouse. This wasn't a ghost story. It was the final, shocking chapter in the life of Howard Hughes. He was a man with hair down to his waist and fingernails that curled like claws. His once powerful 6'4" frame weighing only around 90 pounds, surrounded by stacks of tissues, he issued commands through memos, a prisoner in a dark kingdom he built for himself. But here's the twist. This grotesque figure was once the most famous man in America. He was a dashing billionaire, a genius inventor who conquered the skies, and a Hollywood tycoon who dated the world's most glamorous women. To the world, he was an icon. In private, he was a man completely unraveling. How did the world's richest man, a brilliant aviator and filmmaker, end up a prisoner in his own bizarre world? To understand the tragic end, you have to go back to the glorious beginning.
The Boy Genius and the Inheritance.
Howard Robard Hughes Jr. was born into a world of incredible wealth and suffocating anxiety. His father, Howard Sr., was a rugged oil prospector who struck it rich by inventing a revolutionary drill bit that could chew through solid rock. The family fortune was secure, but his mother, Aileen, was consumed by a paralyzing fear of germs, a phobia she drilled into her son. She obsessed over Howard's health, planting a dark seed of fear in his young mind. Despite this, Howard was a prodigy. At age 11, he built a working radio from scratch. At 12, a motorized bicycle. But tragedy struck fast and hard. When Howard was just 16, his mother died from pregnancy complications. Less than 2 years later, his father had a fatal heart attack. Suddenly, at 19 years old, Howard Hughes was an orphan. He inherited 75% of the hugely profitable Hughes Tool company, and soon bought out his relatives' shares to gain full control. With a fortune that gave him the power to do anything, he set his sights on a town built on dreams.
The Hollywood Rebel.
When Hughes arrived in Hollywood in the late 1920s, the studio system had never seen anyone like him. He had limitless cash and even more ambition. He decided his first big film would be the most spectacular aerial combat movie ever made. Hell's Angels. He poured millions into it, buying the world's largest private air force of vintage World War I planes. The production was pure chaos, orchestrated by Hughes himself. When movies added sound, he didn't just add audio, he reshot most of the film, a move that was completely unheard of. He even directed and flew in some of the dangerous flight scenes himself, crashing a plane and suffering a fractured skull in his obsessive quest for the perfect shot. While 3 pilots and a mechanic died making the movie, Hell's Angels was a colossal hit when it was released in 1930, turning Hughes into a Hollywood power player. That up by challenging the system at every turn. He produced the gangster classic Scarface, a film so violent it sent industry censors into a panic. Then came The Outlaw, a western he designed to launch the career of a young actress named Jane Russell. Hughes, obsessed with her figure, personally designed a controversial bra for her and used the ensuing media storm to generate massive publicity. He was a notorious playboy, linked to a stunning list of Hollywood legends like Katharine Hepburn and Ava Gardner. But behind the glamour, his need for control was intensifying. He once took over a film's production and demanded so many reshoots that the actors were basically held hostage for a year. Hughes wasn't just making movies anymore. He was building his own reality, and he expected everyone to live in it.
The King of the Skies.
For all his Hollywood fame, Hughes's true passion was aviation. It was more than a hobby. it was an obsession. In 1932, he founded the Hughes Aircraft Company, not just to build planes, but to shatter the limits of what was possible. In 1935, he personally flew the H-1 Racer, a plane he designed himself. It was an engineering masterpiece, setting a new land plane speed record of 352 miles per hour. 2 years later, he smashed the transcontinental speed record, flying from California to New Jersey in just over 7.5 hours. His ambition peaked in 1938 with a dramatic flight around the world, completing the trip in a record-breaking 3 days and 19 hours. Howard Hughes was an American hero, a symbol of daring innovation, but the sky is a dangerous place. In 1946, while test piloting the XF-11, a prototype spy plane, a propeller malfunction sent him spiraling into a Beverly Hills neighborhood. The crash was horrific. He suffered a crushed collarbone, cracked ribs, a collapsed lung, and third-degree burns. He wasn't expected to survive, yet he did, a testament to his sheer force of will. But the crash left him with a legacy of chronic, agonizing pain. This was the turning point. The constant pain led to a lifelong addiction to codeine and other painkillers, a dependency that would fuel his paranoia and accelerate the tightening grip of his inner demons.
The Mogul and the Monster.
Even as his physical and mental health started to unravel, Hughes's business empire was exploding. He gained control of Trans World Airlines, TWA, and was a major defense contractor, with his company developing advanced military technology. He was also buying up huge tracts of real estate, especially in a dusty desert town called Las Vegas. His move to Vegas in 1966 marked a new, bizarre chapter. He arrived by private train and took over the entire top floor of the Desert Inn. When the hotel tried to kick him out to make room for other high rollers, Hughes simply bought the hotel. He then went on a shopping spree, buying the Sands, the Frontier, and the Silver Slipper. Partly because its neon sign was shining into his bedroom, he even bought a local TV station just so he could watch movies late at night. From his darkened penthouse, he was becoming one of the most powerful men in Nevada without ever being seen. It was here his eccentricities ballooned into full-blown madness. His obsessive-compulsive disorder, born from his mother's anxieties, now ran his life. Reportedly, he would have his staff sort peas on his plate by size. He once became fixated on a specific flavor of Baskin-Robbins ice cream. When it was discontinued, he ordered a 350-gallon batch only to decide he no longer liked it when it arrived. His germophobia became so extreme that he wrote incredibly detailed, multi-page memos on how to open a can of fruit without contamination. He allegedly wore tissue boxes on his feet to protect them from the floor. The dashing innovator was gone, replaced by a strange and demanding tyrant.
The Prisoner of the Penthouse.
The final years of Howard Hughes were a descent into a private hell. Unseen in public for years, he moved from one penthouse to another, from Las Vegas to the Bahamas to Acapulco, a ghost surrounded by a handful of aides who were forbidden to speak to or even look at him. He spent months at a time naked in a single room, watching movies on a continuous loop. On one occasion, he reportedly watched the film Ice Station Zebra over 150 times. He stopped cutting his hair and nails. His diet reportedly consisted almost exclusively of chocolate bars, chicken, and milk, and his body wasted away. From this squalor, he still ran his multi-billion-dollar empire through an endless stream of memos. He was secretly involved in a CIA plot to recover a sunken Soviet submarine using a massive ship he built called the Glomar Explorer. His name even came up in campaign finance controversies, connected to the Nixon administration and the Watergate scandal. But the man himself was a phantom, a voice on the phone, a signature on a check. In 1976, months, his kidneys began to fail. As his aides frantically flew him from Acapulco to a hospital in his hometown of Houston, the man who had once been the most famous face in the world died. He was 70 years old. Upon arrival, his body was so emaciated and unrecognizable that the FBI had to use fingerprints to officially identify him. The world's richest man had died of neglect.
Conclusion.
Howard Hughes left behind a monumental and baffling legacy. The planes he designed influenced aviation for decades. The films he produced broke boundaries. The companies he built drove innovation. But he also left the haunting image of his final days, a story of how a man who had everything, who conquered the sky and the screen, could ultimately be defeated by the chaos in his own mind. His life is a chilling puzzle that forces us to ask, where is the line between genius and madness, between ambition and obsession? And can all the money in the world ever be enough to save a man from himself? If you found this look into one of history's most enigmatic figures fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories. Let us know in the comments who you think we should cover next. Thanks for watching.
If you want to learn Bobby Fischer's hidden secrets, click on the video.